You're getting a little carried away.
Perfect. Everything was just right. And a nice couple. They were like perfect for each other.
We had a ton of great times with them. Always happy and laughing and having a good time and really living life to the fullest. They were our best friends.
You put them together and people were just blown away. They were perfect together. Everything about them seemed so perfect.
It wasn't. According to court documents, Scott allegedly had an affair soon after the wedding. The following spring, Scott received a degree in agribusiness. Then, in September 1998, the Petersons settled in San Luis Obispo.
They opened a little restaurant called The Shack, and it was sort of a hangout place for Cal Poly students. It's located not far from the university.
The restaurant was a success, but Lacey missed her parents. She was also anxious to start a family. In early 2000, Scott and Lacey sold The Shack and moved to Modesto, a city of 180,000 people located about 90 miles east of San Francisco.
She wanted to have her children grow up in the same way that she grew up, and she embraced Modesto's values.
It's a small community where people know each other, where you know who your neighbors are.
Scott landed a job as a sales rep with Trade Corp, a fertilizer company. Lacey worked as a substitute teacher at La Loma Junior High School, the same school she attended growing up.
Lacey was very energetic, always very bubbly. You know, the kids really enjoyed having her as a sub, and she really adored the kids.
But Lacey's plans to have her own kids hit a snag.
Lacey couldn't get pregnant, and all she wanted was a baby. This was her dream.
Meanwhile, Scott and Lacey bought a fixer-upper in a middle-class neighborhood of Modesto. If the marriage was in trouble, the Petersons didn't let on.
Both Scott and Lacey spent a lot of time and a lot of money to make this house into their home.
And everybody knew that when you came to Lacey's house, you dressed appropriately and you were going to enjoy a lovely meal and good company.
But there was still a piece of the puzzle missing. In April 2002, it fell into place. Lacey was overjoyed to learn she was pregnant.
Every step of the way, Lacey was sharing this with family and friends, how excited she was.
Lacey shared her joy with coworkers.
She would talk about her Lamaze classes that she was taking and doing the baby's room, and just, you know, the joys that you feel when you're pregnant.
Lacey wasn't the only one looking forward to the big event. Friends say Scott was also thrilled.
He couldn't get enough of our kids, and he was really excited about having a son or a baby.
Still, Peterson began a relationship with a pretty 27-year-old massage therapist he met during a business trip in November 2002. Her name, Amber Fry.
First impression, he had a smile on his face. I thought, he is handsome, good looking.
On their first date, Scott wined and dined Amber. They spent the night together in Scott's hotel room.
Well, I can't say that's something I'm proud of. There was a lot more to our relationship than 1, 2, 3. There was just a general and genuine comfortableness between us.
But Amber had a troubled past. When she was only 5, her parents divorced. Amber and her sister Ava bounced between homes. As a teenager, Amber had an abortion that left her grief-stricken. In her 20s, she sought peace of mind by joining a Fresno community church. Amber shared her feelings of loss with other women who terminated their pregnancies. In the summer of 2000, Amber learned she was pregnant again. Her lover insisted she have another abortion. Amber was heartbroken.
And it was so difficult to have the person that once said that they loved me to push that so much and so hard and not understand that I had repented against that, and that wasn't an option, that wasn't a choice.
Instead, Amber became a single mom. Her daughter Ayana was born on February 20th, 2001. Amber had no idea that during the next year, her life would be turned upside down, or that she would be represented by a well-known attorney.
She's a single mom with a young child. She's a wonderful mother. I've seen her with her child, and she's very loving and caring and very involved with her child.
Scott Peterson seemed like the perfect catch.
This was a guy with a good job. He was an international salesman, he had told her, and
she had hit the lottery. According to police reports, Scott saw Amber whenever he was in Fresno.
Amber was just absolutely in love with Scott.
Amber was unaware that her new boyfriend had a wife in Modesto, a pregnant wife.
He said that he had lost his wife, that these would be the first holidays without her, and that they could be exclusive with each other.
Scott had other passions too, including fishing and golf. On December 1st, 2002, he joined an exclusive country club in Modesto. A week later, Scott purchased a 14-foot aluminum fishing boat from Bruce Peterson, who was not related. According to police, Scott paid cash, $1,400.
Looked at the boat, asked me a few questions about it, and said he'd buy it.
Meanwhile, court testimony and phone records state that Scott's relationship with Amber Fry heated up even more. Peterson routinely called Amber several times a day. On December 14th, 2002, he went to Fresno to take Amber to a Christmas formal. Back in Modesto, Lacey was 7 months pregnant. The couple learned that their baby was a boy. They named their son Connor. Coming up.
Whoever has her, please, please, please let her go. Bring her back.
We love her so much.
Who knows what will happen on Hollywood's biggest night? Live from the red carpet, the Academy Awards. Coverage starts Sunday, March 5th noon, with live pre-show at 5:30.
In a world where portions are out of control, Dexatrim Max helps you stay in control safely. Curbs my appetite so half is enough.
It kickstarts my metabolism, so I have energy to exercise.
Dexatrim Max. Maximum health in a maxed out world.
Yo, Hulkamaniacs, it's me, Hulk Hogan. Check out my new look. Brother, I was at Arby's scarfing down a chicken cordon bleu. That natural chicken tastes righteous. That's because it's not all pumped up with phosphates and fillers, which gave the Hulkster an idea. Maybe I don't need to be pumped up either. Who needs to be doing bench presses and deadlifts all day?
Now all of Arby's chicken is made with 100% all-natural, all-delicious chicken. Try our chicken cordon bleu with ham and melted Swiss. It'll have you saying,
I'm thinking Arby's, brother.
Makeup meltdown? I don't think so.
Infallible, L'Oreal's first never-fail makeup that fights the 5 signs of makeup meltdown. Infallible hides blemishes, ends rub-off, stops shine, combats signs of fatigue, fights heat and humidity for 16 hours of beautiful skin. Infallible from L'Oreal.
I let stress get under my skin. I regret that I never took better care of my face. Now, I'm ready to take the heat.
New Olay Regenerist Thermal Skin Polisher. For mini peel results in just 10 days. It heats up when activated with water, gently peeling away surface damage, gently polishing.
Take the heat.
New Regenerist Thermal Skin Polisher. Love the skin you're in.
After the baby, I started working out and taking a pain reliever for my knee. Went back to work, needed something else for tension headaches. Baby got big, I got one more for my back. Every new pain, a different pain reliever. But not anymore. Today, I'm all Advil. Advil is my every pain reliever. Works on all my pains, wherever I hurt. So I'm ready for anything. I'm all Advil.
Colorful M&M's minis deep inside a creamy chocolate bar. Amazing. Eat crunchy and peanut butter. Ah, yes.
What if we could turn the whole world yellow? We'd have cleaner air and an energy source that grows back every year. Yellow is the color of corn, refined into E85 ethanol, a fuel that lowers greenhouse gas emissions and can reduce our dependence on oil. GM already has 1.5 million flex fuel vehicles that can run on E85, and it's just the beginning. Join the movement. Go to livegreengoyellow.com.
Hey, do you love American Idol and Desperate Housewives? Well, they're not on all the time, so check out The Suit Friday nights. When? And on E! We may not have hot chicks, but we do have a guy in a suit, and that's me, Joel McHale.
December 23rd, 2002. These are the events as they happened. According to court documents, Scott and Lacey Peterson plan to spend Christmas with their families. Lacey takes Scott to her sister Amy's salon for a haircut. They return home. Lacey calls her mom around 8:30 p.m.
She talked to her mother and had finalized the plans for the next day for the Christmas Eve dinner, but that was the last time that Sharon Roach had talked to her daughter.
Christmas Eve day, 2002. Winter storms move in over Northern California. Despite the bad weather, Scott decides to break in his new boat and go fishing.
She does not, play golf as I do, which was my other option for that day. And being, 7.5 months pregnant, she's not going to want to go out in a boat. Lacey was simply going to be baking that day. And it's not uncommon for us to, simply, we have separate pursuits.
According to court documents, Scott stops to pick up his boat, housed in a warehouse at work. Peterson then drives to the Berkeley Marina, about 90 miles northwest of Modesto. Scott pulls a parking stamp for his truck and slips his boat into the water. He fishes for approximately 2 hours and returns home. It's about 4:30 p.m. Lacey isn't there. Her Land Rover is parked in the driveway.
On Christmas Eve, I left the house here around 9:30. She was here in the home. Okay, she was in the house. It's one thing we know. The second thing we know is that the dog was returned to our yard with its leash on at 10:30 by a neighbor.
Police say Scott then eats a slice of pizza and takes a shower. According to court documents, around 5:17 p.m., Lacey's mom receives a call from Scott, who says Lacey is missing.
What struck Lacey's mother was the word missing. Not gone, not I can't find him, not do you know where she is, but missing. From the very beginning, that was the word he used.
According to police reports, Scott visits a neighbor to ask if she's seen Lacey. The neighbor says that Scott seems distraught. Investigators meet Scott and other family members at about 6 p.m. at the park where Lacey often walked her dog. Police return with Scott to the Peterson home. His wife's purse, wallet, and keys are in a closet. Lacey's cell phone is in her Land Rover.
Everybody was wondering, what could happen to Lacey, because this wasn't in her demeanor and her background to just walk away, to just, take a break from it all. Plus, everybody always talked about she loved her family. She loved being around her family. So why would she leave without letting anybody know on Christmas Eve?
Christmas Eve night, 2002. Search efforts are stepped up. Armed with flashlights, Lacey's family and friends scour nearby parks and wooded areas. There is no sign of Lacey. Investigators begin canvassing the neighborhood. One woman claims she saw a pregnant woman walking a dog in a local park that morning. There are reports of a mysterious brown van seen in the area. Police follow up on the leads. Late Christmas Eve, police search the Petersons' home and vehicles. They confiscate a loaded .22 caliber semi-automatic handgun found in the glove compartment of Scott's truck. Scott says he fired the gun a month earlier while pheasant hunting. Police ask Peterson more questions.
Friends of mine tell me that right from the beginning, they knew something wasn't right. Even though they went on cameras telling us, we're not focusing on Scott, we're looking at other people. Well, sure, they were looking at other people, but they still have their eye on Scott Peterson.
Investigators say that they were suspicious immediately because they saw a mop outside the house, and it was wet next to the door below the mop. They believe that potentially Scott used that to clean up evidence.
Scott claims that Lacey was mopping the floors when he left to go fishing.
And he also immediately took his clothes off and threw them in the washing machine, and then dried his clothes.
The average guy that goes out in the ocean fishing, gets some salt water on, and comes home wet.
And so
What are you
you're
gonna do
pretty
with
tidy.
your wet saltwater clothes?
Coming up.
I know I cut my knuckle that day.
On what day?
On Christmas Eve.
Doing what?
There are 10 ways stars can raise their celebrity stock. One way is to drop their drawers. For more, watch 10 Ways to Superstardom. All new Friday at 10:30, 9:30 Central on E!
I'm just getting some air. Bye.
The newest phone with iTunes, even thinner than the Razr, the ultra-sleek Sliver, at a great price. Only from Singular, raising the bar.
Diet Snapple Iced Tea has antioxidants, so it's better for me. That makes me want to start doing other things that are better for me.
Diet Snapple, a baby step to a better you.
The 2006 Motor Trend Sport Utility of the Year. The new Nissan Xterra. Show us your ass.
Introducing the new Dave & Buster's Power Combo. Get one of 9 delicious entrees and a $10 game card for only $14.99. Dave & Buster's, the only place with food and fun for only $14.99. The Dave & Buster's Power Combo, only $14.99.
Mini moments from Sharpie Mini. Sharpie Mini.
Come here. Get in there.
Sharpie Mini. Right out loud.
What's all this buzz about Bausch & Lomb Renew with Moisture Lock?
Please. Like I ever talk about contact lens solution. But this Renew with this Moisture Lock, I can feel the difference. I'm sure it cleans, but the best part?
It actually conditions your lenses. They feel great the whole time I wear them. I can keep them in way long.
Way long. They're way comfortable. You can try it free at tryrenew.com.
You will not be disappointed.
Bausch & Lomb Renew with Moisture Lock.
It does everything, everything my old Renew did.
Only better.
Clients ask, why does my hair look and feel so healthy now? How could I have this all the time? Oh, and not break my budget. Well, come on. Professional products make a difference. But this is a beautiful thing. There's Tresemme. Tresemme started in salons. Salon product, salon healthy, run your fingers through it hair. Get a load of you. Professional, affordable.
Tresemme. Ooh la la.
December 25th, 2002. Dawn breaks on Christmas morning. Still no sign of 27-year-old Laci Peterson. The search continues. Kim Peterson, a Greek counselor and no relation to Scott, speaks on behalf of the family.
It's every family's worst nightmare. While everyone was enjoying Christmas dinner and opening gifts with their families, this family was out searching for their very present daughter. They don't know if their loved one is out there alive and hurting, hungry, cold, begging for them, or if they are deceased.
According to court transcripts, Scott calls police to ask if they are using cadaver dogs to try and locate Laci. Police note his use of the term. December 26, 2002.
A center for volunteers is set up at the Red Lion Hotel in Modesto.
The Roaches were there, and Scott's parents were there, and Scott was there, and everybody was just devastated. You can't even explain. You're watching this family go through this tragedy.
There is a huge outpouring of public sympathy, and there is growing fear. The town of Modesto is still reeling from 2 recent tragedies. In 1999, 4 people were found murdered in nearby Yosemite National Park. Former congressional intern Chandra Levy was also from Modesto. Chandra's body was discovered in a Washington, D.C. area park in March 2002.
The whole thing is terribly hard on me. It's like living it all over again. You don't lose your memories, you don't lose the pain.
Sharon Rocha is hoping upon hope that her pain is only temporary, that Laci will come home unharmed. Meanwhile, the search intensifies.
We had hundreds of volunteers coming every day, picking up flyers, and we actually mapped out areas in Modesto and the surrounding areas where people were going to search. Here's this wonderful family, and you actually see them in the volunteer center, and they were lifeless. They were distraught, and you'd stay up 24 hours if you could to do anything you can to find this woman.
Many of these families go days without eating, without sleeping, and you have to show them how important that is as well. And you also have to sit and cry with them and hold them as they cry. And you just try to keep them focused on the fact that they need to fight, they don't need to sit in their bed and cry. They need to be out there looking.
Investigators asked to question Scott a second time. Peterson agrees.
They brought him into the station for an hour-long interview, and they did everything they could to try to trip him up.
Peterson is not named as a suspect, but he isn't taking any chances.
After that interview, that Scott severed his ties with police in terms of sitting down and doing extensive interviews. Scott hired an attorney very early on, and his attorney, according to family members, told him basically to be careful what he said.
Pregnant woman. Laci Peterson disappeared on Christmas Eve. There is now a 500.
December 27, 2002. Lacey's disappearance becomes headline news as the mystery deepens. Police have few clues and no official suspects. Reports of break-ins in the Peterson neighborhood raise hopes of a connection to Lacey's disappearance.
When the burglaries first surfaced, there was a lot of anticipation that it would yield other clues. It was one of the few things that came up in those first few days that could have been a possible break, and it was disappointing when it didn't turn out.
Meanwhile, police are working around the clock to find Lacey.
We're following every possible lead, including registered sex offenders, including family members, and looking at every potential. It's a frustrating case in that there is nothing concrete at this time.
According to news reports, Lacey's stepfather, Ron Gransky, has questions about Scott's account of his actions on Christmas Eve.
Ron Gransky approached Scott and asked him about his fishing trip and asked him point blank, are you having an affair or do you have a girlfriend, Scott? And he said no.
Lacey's family tell police they know nothing about Scott's new boat.
When I was told that he had gone fishing, and there was a comment made about him launching the boat, and I asked, what boat? I thought maybe he had borrowed a boat from a friend, or I wasn't aware they had a boat. And we'd had dinner with them just the week before, and there was no mention of the boat.
He claims to family members that he told Lacey about the boat. In fact, he says that he took Lacey to see the boat at the warehouse, and defense sources say that they have a witness at the warehouse that saw the two together. But the Rocha family had never heard of this boat. Only Scott, it seemed, knew about this boat, besides possibly Lacey.
Detectives continue to search for evidence and suspects. They turn their attention away from Scott Peterson to another case with some eerie parallels.
That was the case of Evelyn Hernandez, and apparently this woman was almost full term on her pregnancy. She disappeared, her body washed up in the bay.
While efforts to find Lacey continue, police obtain a warrant to search the Peterson property. According to court documents, they confiscate Scott's Ford pickup and Lacey's Land Rover. Satellite tracking devices are hidden on both vehicles before they are returned. Investigators also remove 2 computers from the house. They find evidence of internet searches of San Francisco Bay and nearby reservoirs.
They found that he was researching, navigational tides, the tides in the Berkeley Marina.
The family says, yeah, he bought a new boat. He was looking at different places to go fish and to go enjoy his new purchase. And that's exactly what they say he was doing on Christmas Eve when his wife was missing.
Investigators go through Peterson's warehouse at work. They discover cement powder on a flat pull trailer next to Scott's boat and loose concrete in the boat itself. The boat's previous owner, Bruce Peterson, is questioned.
Looked like cement residue, yeah. Hadn't been, like the powdery stuff comes out of the bag and stuff. I just knew it was that way when I sold it to him.
Well, I could take you out in the backyard and show you all the cement work and brickwork that we've done to this home. You'd find, cement bags around here.
Court transcripts state that police find a homemade anchor in Scott's boat. Police say they also found something else in the warehouse.
On that boat turned up a pair of pliers. I believe they are needle nose pliers. And in those pliers, not just stuck to them, but wound in them, was a hair that could belong to Lacey.
Police say there is not enough of the hair to do a standard DNA analysis. A different test is conducted, but the results are inconclusive. Police also report finding dried blood in Scott's truck.
Well, take a look at my hand. You can see, cuts here on my knuckles, numerous scars. I work on farms. I work with machinery. I know I cut my knuckle that day.
On what day?
On Christmas Eve.
Doing what?
Reaching in the toolbox of my truck and then into the pocket on the door. I cut open my knuckle and there was a blood stain on the door. On the driver's side door.
On neighbor reports, she saw Scott load a large object covered with blue material into his truck on the morning of December 24th.
Yeah, we have some large umbrellas for the backyard pool area, market umbrellas, I think is the term for them. It started to rain, so I was going to store them. Just like you asked why would I store them, I was taking them from the pool.
Coming up.
We go through a range of emotions from anger to frustration to grief.
And later.
Our son is innocent. We know that. We know him from day one.
A Washington intern murdered.
The remains found are in fact Chandra Levy.
DHS investigates Chandra Levy in the Capitol murders tonight at 8 on E. Starting March 13th. Ryan Seacrest joins E! News.
The big story
with Juliana DeFanti.
Here, look at Chandra.
What do you want to know about young Hollywood?
Put the E logo on it. There you go.
Now you know. E! News, starting March 13th, weeknights at 7, 6 Central on E!
so powerful it starts to work even before you wipe, because everyone loves a streak-free shine.
Let's do it again.
Windex is best on glass. For a streak-free shine and a lot less time, reach for Windex wipes.
Hi, it's me. No, not Joan Rivers' mother, Joan Rivers. I know I look a little different, but let me explain. I tried the chicken cordon bleu at Arby's, and I said, Melissa, is this not the best thing you have ever tasted? And no wonder. It's made with natural chicken, which got me thinking, maybe everything would be better natural. Hair, face, nose, everything. But look at me, I was wrong. Natural only works for the chicken.
All Arby's chicken is made with delicious 100% all-natural chicken. Try our chicken cordon bleu with ham and melted Swiss. It'll have you saying,
I'm thinking Arby's.
Got your eye on a new home appliance? Now's the time. It's the Cashback event at Sears. Want to remodel your kitchen? Refurbish your laundry? All home appliances are on sale. Just use your Sears card and get 10% cash back on any home appliance over $3.99. Or get 0% APR financing for 12 months and free delivery. That's big savings on the top brands. Ready for a new home appliance? Get ready for some cash back. Now through Tuesday. The Cashback event at Sears.
So it seems pretty clear that buying lottery tickets is not a good business plan. That's weird. So, very funny. Let's continue. We got a lot to get through. All right, if we look to the other sectors that we... Okay, come on, guys.
Want a new job? We've got the most. CareerBuilder.com. A better job awaits. Catch E! News, your connection to young Hollywood. Weeknight 7, 6 Central, only on E!
Sex. Lies. Murder. Everyone plays dirty, don't you?
Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific.
Homeowners need cash? You need to know about the no closing cost home equity line of credit from Countrywide. Unlike many lenders, with Countrywide there's no application fee, no credit reporting fee, no appraisal fee, no underwriting fee, no closing costs. So you could use more of your loan to pay off credit cards and lower your bills. The no closing cost home equity line of credit. No one can do what Countrywide can. Call now and see if you qualify.
Call 1-800-641-7312.
December 28, 2002.
If you were to find a body, we ask that you not approach it. Clothing?
Music for driving and or walking.
It's now 4 days since Laci Peterson disappeared without a trace. Police and volunteers continue to search for any clues to her whereabouts. Laci's family holds a press conference and issues an emotional plea.
Whoever has her, please, please, please let her go. Bring her back.
We love her so much. We want her back. Please, let us have her back.
We had hundreds of volunteers coming every day, picking up flyers, and we actually mapped out areas in Modesto and the surrounding areas where people were going to search. So it was very well organized, and there was a lot of hope.
Laci's husband, Scott, is part of the search team.
People never saw him with any emotion. I never saw him cry, and his eyes were never red, and I had said to someone close to the family at the second week, I said, this just seems really weird. He's never cried. He's never showed any emotion.
The first 3 days or so, when she disappeared, it was an absolute privacy issue. Not showing the grief of our family, not explaining that.
Meanwhile, Laci Peterson and her unborn son, Connor, become household names. Their disappearance is the top story in newspapers, magazines, and on the broadcast networks. 24-hour cable news channels cover the drama nonstop.
Laci's family was so open, and because they sort of let us into their ordeal, we became participants in the Laci Peterson disappearance, that we cared as much as anyone else cared, and her family responded.
Scott keeps a low profile.
Scott shied away from the media and actually would start coming into the command center at about 6:30 or 7 in the morning, read emails, and then leave at 9.
Scott was really adamant about not being shot. Scott told our photographer, did you hear that? I don't want that camera focused on me.
It was a conscious decision to remain out of the media eye, decided upon by everyone in the family and the volunteers, in order to, and I'm sorry to say it to media, but to keep the media here, to keep them hungry for, an interview with me or a picture, so that they would keep coming back, so this story won't fall through the cracks as it has happened with other missing people, with other abductions.
TV crews are camped outside the Peterson home. 90 miles away in Fresno, 27-year-old Amber Fry sees the man she hopes to marry on the news.
I guess shock would be my emotional response, because we had been having a relationship. And then once I learned who Scott Peterson was and that he had a missing pregnant wife, that was even more terrifying to me.
December 30th, 2002. According to court documents, Amber Fry calls the police tips line in Modesto.
This is a woman scorned, and she did everything she could to help the Modesto Police Department. She took a lie detector test, and police completely believed from the very beginning she had nothing to do with Lacey's disappearance.
Investigators agree to keep Amber's story under wraps for the time being. Police ask for Amber's help in recording phone conversations with Scott.
I agreed and had no problem in doing it.
They would actually give her questions, and sometimes they were around a table while she was talking to him, giving her suggestions of what to say. What did they get out of the tapes? They got basically the crux of what they believe is their case in terms of showing a guy that doesn't miss his wife, doesn't act like anybody would in that situation if they didn't have something to do with it.
I'd say the first week it was very nerve-wracking. I was very shaking, very fumbling. Wasn't easy.
Keep in mind, Scott is still talking to Amber after Lacey's disappearance. Remarkable, remarkable. And police were exploiting that lapse in judgment.
But Scott says he is focused on finding his wife.
Lacey is what matters, and she's out there missing, and she needs to be home with her families.
New Year's Eve, 2002.
Hello?
Baby?
Yes.
Yeah, hey.
My goodness.
I'm a quiet place.
According to police wiretap records, Scott talks to Amber 6 times this day. That evening, more than 1,000 people gather in a tearful candlelight vigil for Lacey. Scott stays in the background.
This guy wasn't grieving in a normal manner or acting how you would think somebody might act if their wife and unborn child were missing.
We go through a range of emotions, from anger to frustration to grief. For me, it's it comes at different times during the day. You're doing something, you just can't continue. Try to stay busy and have a task. Didn't know what to do, a positive task, and try to focus on that.
January 4th, 2003.
We're searching, we're looking, and we're going to find you.
Lacey Peterson's disappearance is showcased on America's Most Wanted, hosted by John Walsh.
Troubling missing persons case out of Modesto, California. Our Tom Morris has the latest.
It's been an agonizing search in the water, from the air, and on foot. Modesto, California police are desperate to find 27-year-old Lacey Peterson.
January 6th, 2003.
Well?
Amber?
Yes.
Amber?
I'm here. I can hear you just fine.
According to police records, Scott calls Amber several times. In one call, he expresses his longing to hold on to her. Fry confronts Peterson about their future together. Then, she asks about Lacey and the baby.
Yeah, and I deserve to understand an explanation of why you told me you'd lost your wife and this was the first holidays you'd spend without her. That was December 9th. You told me this, and now all of a sudden your wife's missing?
I know you absolutely deserve an explanation.
Yes, I do. I do.
And I want to give you one.
I'm listening.
I can't now. I'm so sorry for that.
Why?
It's to protect all of us.
He's never answered any of my questions specifically.
Meanwhile, Lacey's family remains in the dark about Scott's relationship with Amber Fry. They continue to stick by their son-in-law.
We love Scott, and we know how much Scott and Lacey love each other. We believe firmly that Scott has absolutely nothing to do with this. But, of course, the police department, they have to do the job.
Coming up,
Scott told me he was not married. We did have a romantic relationship.
Who knows what will happen on Hollywood's biggest night? Live from the red carpet, the Academy Awards. Coverage starts next Sunday at noon with live pre-show at 5:30.
Lisa Loeb is #1 single. This week, Lisa gets a wingman to help get her love life off the ground.
Would you theoretically go out with her? Are you single?
But is he jealous when she soars?
I noticed him getting a little upset, mostly when you were smelling that other guy.
#1 single. All new tonight at 10, only on E!
This Great Night's Sleep brought to you by Lunesta. This Great Night's Sleep brought to you by Lunesta. Lunesta. Millions of Americans who once had trouble turning off their restless minds are catching a great night's sleep with Lunesta. Lunesta can give you and your restless mind the sleep you need. Lunesta helps most people sleep all through the night and works quickly, so take it right before bed. Lunesta is non-narcotic and approved for long-term use. Of course, do not use sleep medicines for extended periods without first talking to your doctor. Be sure you have at least 8 hours to devote to sleep before becoming active. Until you know how you react to Lunesta, you should not drive or operate machinery. Avoid taking Lunesta with alcohol. Most sleep medicines carry some risk of dependency. Side effects may include unpleasant taste, headache, drowsiness, and dizziness. Ready to catch a great night's sleep? Just climb into bed and leave the rest to Lunesta.
For English, say yes.
Yes.
For security purposes, say your pet's name.
Fluffy.
Please say your password.
Big boy.
Please repeat.
Big boy. Yes.
For a shinier credit card, say yes.
No. Yes. I don't know.
For customer service, say yes.
Yes.
This is Ryan.
Hello, I have a question about my statement. Hello?
Sometimes you just want to get straight through. That's why there's the City Simplicity credit card. Simply press 0 to talk to a person.
Yo, P-Dove, got Mike in the house. What's up? And he's tricked out Vip. What does this do? It sucks in air.
It's definitely sucking.
Yo, Mike, you wanna some pimp this thing? Let me hear you say what? What? P-Dove, holding it down on the engineering tip, y'all. Yeah.
The GTI Mark V, pre-tuned by German engineers.
Don't just apply, style your lashes. From Maybelline, New York, it's new Lash Stylist. Designed to sculpt our boldest, most open-eyed look ever. It's a sensation. These styling combs sculpt for a boldly thickened, new open-eyed look. Style your way to the new look in lashes. The move is on. Style your lashes. New Lash Stylist from Maybelline, New York. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline.
This portion of E! Brought to you by Maybelline, New York. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline.
January 16, 2003.
And to Lacey, your family and friends will not give up until you and Connor come home to us.
The search for Lacey Peterson enters its 4th week. Speculation grows that Scott is somehow involved in his wife's disappearance.
You had cops working like mad under the hope that Lacey could still be alive.
Still, the Roaches stand firmly behind their son-in-law. Suddenly, all that changes. Investigators reveal a potential smoking gun. Scott's affair with 27-year-old Amber Fry.
Lacey's family is now grappling with not just her disappearance, not just the disappearance of their own unborn grandchild. They're grappling with the fact that they were living a lie, that this picture of perfection was completely false.
Police are more suspicious than ever of Peterson, but he is not named a suspect. According to court documents, investigators present their case to the DA.
Scott Peterson says that the district attorney approached him through his lawyer and offered him a deal. Tell us where the body is, and we will spare you the death penalty. Now, Scott takes the position that he didn't tell them where the body was because he didn't know, because he didn't kill her. But he says that he was offered this deal, and he rejected it out of hand.
January 24th, 2003.
We cannot thank you enough for your understanding of our desperation to find Lacey.
Lacey's mother issues another heart-wrenching plea for her daughter's return.
I miss her smile and her laughter and her sense of humor, and I miss everything about her. Someone has taken all of this away from me and everyone else who loves her. There are no words that can possibly describe the ache in my heart or the emptiness in my life. I know that someone knows where Lacey is, and I'm pleading with you, please, please, let her come home to us.
Moments later, Lacey's brother speaks out.
Scott Peterson did admit to me that he was having an affair with a Fresno woman. I would like Scott to know that I trusted him and stood by him in the initial phases of my sister's disappearance. However, Scott has not been forthcoming with information regarding my sister's disappearance, and I'm only left to question what else he may be hiding.
Lacey's family was devastated, absolutely devastated. Devastated because they can't believe that Scott Peterson could do something like this. Can't believe they had been defending him.
January 25th, 2003. Lacey's sister Amy appears with her mom Sharon and stepfather Ron Gransky on America's Most Wanted. According to John Walsh, after the broadcast, he has a phone conversation with Scott. Walsh says he offers Peterson some advice.
21 years ago, when my son Adam, my 6-year-old son Adam, was kidnapped, my wife and I went into the police station voluntarily. We were put in separate rooms for 10 hours each, and we were given lie detector tests. Why haven't you gone and taken that polygraph test? He says, well, I might get nervous. I said, it's your simple refusal to do it that's casting so much suspicion on you. And he said, I don't think the police have a very good opinion of me because of my adulterous affair.
Investigators on both sides, law enforcement and private, have asked me not to comment anymore about times, about conversations I have with the police, about the possible polygraph. I'm not going to comment if I have or have not taken a polygraph with the police.
January 26th, 2003.
I want to express my sympathy to Lacey's family.
Investigators with the Modesto Police Department hold a press conference. A visibly shaken Amber Fry tells her story to the world.
Before entering there, I had a hard time breathing. I couldn't catch my breath. I was very, scared, nervous.
Scott told me he was not married. We did have a romantic relationship. When I discovered he was involved in the Lacey Peterson disappearance, I immediately contacted the Modesto Police Department.
I was hoping that would maybe back off the media. So it was very nerving.
I am very sorry for Lacey's family and the pain that this has caused them. And I pray for her safe return as well.
Amber's a strong woman. She's a strong woman, and everybody will be shocked to see the strength she has.
A story fading from the front pages is suddenly headline news again. Reporters scramble for more.
Although I could have sold the photos of Scott and I to tabloids, I knew this was not the right thing to do.
Amber Fry remains in the crosshairs of the media. Reporters continue digging into her past. They discover that in 1999, Amber posed provocatively for a photographer in Clovis, just outside Fresno. The photos are made public and only heighten the hype surrounding the case. Scott Peterson has no comment about the pictures, but he tells reporter Gloria Gomez he is relieved the affair with Amber is out in the open.
She did not know that I was married. That is correct. And, so I'm glad she came forward. I informed her that I am married. And with Lacey's disappearance shortly after, Christmas Eve, I'm glad she did the press conference. I'm glad that's out there. It had nothing to do with Lacey's disappearance.
But there is another, even more surprising twist to the story.
I told Lacey about the relationship. She knew about it, and it's important between us.
Lacey's family did not believe this for 2 seconds. I mean, this is a woman who is so open about her personal life that when a urine test came up positive for pregnancy, she called everybody and told them about it at, 7 o'clock in the morning. This was a very close family, and there's no way she would have withheld that information from her family.
He made Lacey out to be someone who wouldn't have defended herself, that she would have been at peace knowing that he had an affair, and I find that very hard to believe.
She's a feisty person, and she's very opinionated, she's very talkative, and she's an independent person to where she wouldn't have to lay down and be at peace with it.
Scott insists that Lacey did know about the affair and that they were trying to work things out when she disappeared.
No, it did definitely not put the marriage in jeopardy. Obviously not a positive thing. And, you know, I think the real question that you're getting at and that everyone wants to know is, you know, did that precipitate to me being involved with her disappearance? And no, it did not. It had absolutely nothing to do with Lacey's disappearance.
February 4th, 2003.
Scott Peterson also has declined comment on why he traded in the Land Rover.
Gloria Gomez reports that 6 days earlier, Scott Peterson traded Lacey's Land Rover for a 2002 Dodge Ram pickup. Doug Roberts, owner of the dealership, makes the connection and returns the Land Rover to Lacey's family.
It was shocking to everybody, not just to Lacey's family, but to the entire community. Is he saying she's not coming back?
You know, they made it sound like Lacey loved that car. Lacey hated that car.
Scott and his family were saying, hey, Scott needs a truck to be able to work. Law enforcement took his truck. He needs a truck.
The day brings more stunning news. A Modesto realtor reports that Scott Peterson made inquiries about selling the couple's home.
He was focused on getting rid of that house, he says, because it brought back bad memories. Because if Lacey was kidnapped, then they kidnapped her from that house. And Scott said, I didn't want to be in that house anymore. It reminded me of that. If she was traumatized, if she was kidnapped, if she was killed in the house.
But Scott says the memories in the house are all too real.
The nursery's ready for him. That door is closed. I can't, you know, furniture's there, painted's ready, you know, all the little itty-bitty clothes and all those wonderful things we have. It's too difficult to tell you.
Lacey's family was shocked. Family members were saying, what's he doing? Is he just trying to get rid of Lacey's memory?
The house is in both names, Lacey and Scott's. I find it hard to believe that he thought he could sell it without Lacey's signature. Of course, I found it hard to understand a lot of things Scott has done. So why should this be any different?
When he traded the car in, tried to sell the house, was out playing golf, it appeared that this guy had been through 2 or 3 weeks, and that was it, and he was moving on. He was starting a new life. You talk to his family, and that simply wasn't the case. They say he was doing these things for practical reasons, and he, they say, was a wreck and still is.
Coming up.
I don't care what people think of me. You know, as I've said, question my moral character if you want to.
A Washington intern murdered.
The remains found are in fact Chandra Levy.
CHS investigates Chandra Levy in the Capitol murders tonight at 8 on E!
Got your eye on a new home appliance? Now's the time. It's the Cash Bag event at Sears. Want to remodel your kitchen? Refurbish your laundry? All home appliances are on sale. Just use your Sears card and get 10% cash back on any home appliance over $399. Or get 0% APR financing for 12 months and free delivery. That's big savings on the top brands. Ready for a new home appliance? Get ready for some cash back. Now through Tuesday. The Cash Back event at Sears.
For a smarter way to store things, we designed the Pods container. We deliver it, you pack it in your own time, we then store it away. Safe, easy Pods for moving and storing.
If only the whole world worked like the all-new Kia Sedona. With world-class comfort, convenience, and safety, it truly is state-of-the-art. The completely redesigned Kia Sedona.
Diet Snapple Iced Tea has antioxidants in it, so it's better for me. Kind of makes me want to do other things that are better for me.
Diet Snapple, a baby step to a better you.
The Pier 1 Take a Seat sale. With savings on selected wicker seating for every room in your home, it's easy to find a new favorite chair. Hurry in before the best seats are taken. Pier 1, life more interesting.
When you get a cold, you can't always slow down, but you can feel better, faster, with NyQuil each night and DayQuil each day. Together, they'll give you the relief you need to keep going. So leave the coughing, aching, and fever behind with NyQuil each night and DayQuil each day. Feel better,
faster.
Give me your hair and your shoulders for just one day, and I'll give you flake-free hair that's never been more beautiful.
New Selsun Salon from Selsun Blue. No flakes, no itch. Rich in vitamins and moisturizers. Selsun Salon.
Just one day, you'll never look over your shoulders again.
Save yourself! Get back. Yeah. Dave, not cool.
Refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it.
You see my moves back there? Still got it.
January 30th, 2003.
Recently, Amber Fry reports Scott Peterson told Amber Fry picture shows Amber and Scott embracing.
Laci Peterson has been missing for more than a month. Hopes are fading, but the story isn't.
The media is hungry. The media is, their appetite for evidence, their appetite for anything about this case is voracious. I mean, there are 24-hour news channels now. There are 300 cable channels. Everybody's covering this but the Cartoon Network. And everybody wants to know something.
It's also an element of the whodunit, the mystery, the what happened to Laci, where's Laci, the ongoing search, the volunteer effort, the coming together of a community.
In his interview with Gloria Gomez, Scott tries to turn the media focus away from Amber Fry and back to Laci and Connor.
I want people looking for Laci, because they're not doing that right now, in hopes that people will go, you know what? If I think he had some involvement, if I don't think he had some involvement, that doesn't matter, because Laci is what matters, and she's out there missing, and she needs to be home with her families. So I don't care to defend myself. I don't care what people think of me. You know, as I've said, question my moral character if you want to, but look at your heart, think of Laci, her picture, baby, and make the effort to bring her home. Think whatever you want of me, as long as you're out there and you're comfortable with yourself, that you're doing what you need to be doing to find Laci and bring her home.
Tell me what you love about Laci.
God, what, no. I think you can sum it up pretty easily with looking at her photograph. The photograph for a big smile in the press. I don't know, just being able to complete each other. I think that's it. But, I mean, you asked how, well, and all you have to do is look at that picture, and you know that she's a bright one, a bright light in a lot of people's lives. So.
Do you think she's still alive?
She is.
You're sure of that?
Yes. I hope it.
You haven't said anything about your baby.
That's entirely too difficult to speak about.
Do you go into the baby's room?
No, that door's closed.
How long will it remain closed?
Oh, there's a little guy in there. Thank you.
Thank you.
When I sat down to interview Scott Peterson, I felt at times that he was thinking he was smarter than me. You know, that he was somebody who could outwit you, that could get you.
Scott also sits down with reporter Ted Rollins.
He knew exactly what was going on. It was an interview that he had to watch what he was going to say, and he wouldn't talk a lot about certain subjects, and it was evident from the minute that we walked in and started setting up that he was in complete control. I would be livid if the local police department, a month later, is still dedicating 1 hour of their efforts on looking at me when my wife is out there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it seems like it's a waste of manpower in that pursuit. And that's unfortunate. That makes me sad more than it does angry.
Coming up.
It's very apprehensive, and we were concerned about the potential for putting him on a suicide watch.
There are 10 ways stars can raise their celebrity stock. One way is to drop their drawers. For more, watch 10 Ways to Superstardom. All new Friday at 10:30, 9:30 Central on E! Starting March 6th, when The Simple Life comes to E! Mondays will be hot. Tuesdays will be hot. Wednesdays will be hot. Thursdays will be hot. And Fridays will be hot. The Simple Life.
Most action I've got all week.
Weeknights at 6:30 and midnight starting March 6th, only on E!
Incredibly thin, yet impossible to miss. Introducing Sliver, the newest phone with iTunes. Ultra sleek and even thinner than the Razor. Only from Singular, raising the bar.
I just want to go to work like everyone else.
For every woman who's had to struggle,
I know things have been hard. They're going to get better, all right?
she gave them a voice.
Whether you win or lose, you stand up.
Charlize Theron in her Academy Award-nominated role, Flying North Country, now on DVD.
What's all this buzz about Bausch & Lomb Renew with Moisture Lock?
Please.
Please.
Like I ever talk about contact lens solution. With this Renew, with this Moisture Lock, I can feel the difference. I'm sure it cleans, but the best part?
It actually conditions your lenses. They feel great. The whole time I wear them, I can keep them in way longer.
Way long. They're way comfortable. You can try it free at tryrenew.com. You will not be disappointed.
Bausch & Lomb Renew with Moisture Lock.
It does everything. My old Renew did.
Only better.
Hey, do you love American Idol and Desperate Housewives? Well, they're not on all the time, so check out The Soup Friday nights. When? At 10 on E! We may not have 4 hot chicks, but we do have a guy in a suit, and that's me, Joel McHale.
The remains found are in fact Chandra Levy.
THS investigates Chandra Levy in the Capitol murders, tonight at 8 on E!
Every day, Progressive does something that's, well, progressive. They have this ticker that shows their car insurance rates and their top competitors. Right now on Progressive.com, you can see actual rates that people are getting. Sometimes Progressive is the lowest. Sometimes they're not. Hey, if they're this helpful when you're shopping for car insurance, imagine how they'll be once you're a customer.
If you fall at home, Life Alert can get you help fast, even when you cannot reach your phone.
When you have a heart attack like I did, and there's no one there, Life Alert was there for me.
Thanks to Life Alert, you can live alone without ever being alone. And that's why I wear one.
Please call 1-800-948-8844 for free information about Life Alert. That's 1-800-948-8844. Or visit us on the web at the address on your screen. Don't delay. Call us now.
February 10th, 2003. It's a day that should be one of celebration. The day Laci Peterson is due to deliver her son Connor. But Laci hasn't been seen or heard from in more than 6 weeks. Family and friends gather to light candles and say prayers.
We cannot ignore that Laci's pregnancy may have had something to do with her abduction.
Any law enforcement in people's area, any hospitals, any birthing centers, just keep the word out there because she will be giving birth real soon.
The due date passes. Still, no sign of Laci. Still, police have no concrete clues that shed light on her disappearance.
Well, we know that with each passing day, it's less and less likely that she is alive, but we do have to hang on to that little bit of hope, possibility that just maybe she is still alive.
February 13th, 2003.
Hello? Hey, Amber. Hi.
Scott continues to call Amber Frey almost daily. Amber begins to wonder, does Peterson suspect she is recording his calls for police?
I had no idea what he knew or what he thought, if I was or, point was he still continued to talk to me.
February 18th, 2003. Police obtain another warrant and search the Peterson property again.
They went back to look for more evidence, and also they went back to see if they had maybe missed some evidence.
The search continues over 2 days. Local television stations report that more than 50 boxes and bags of items are taken from the house. Police also ask Scott to turn over his new truck.
They wanted to put a GPS device in there, global positioning system, and they wanted to follow his every move.
Good morning.
Amber Frey now fears that her undercover role could endanger her child and herself. On February 19th, Amber tries to end all contact with Scott.
Okay. So is there anything you want to say before I say goodbye?
Appreciate everything. Just be well.
Likewise.
But the affair isn't over yet.
I turned over the tape recorder and the device, and a couple days later he called. And the second call I said, basically don't call me anymore.
March 5th, 2003. The investigation takes an ominous turn. Detectives reclassify Lacey's case from missing person to homicide.
Becomes more apparent that her disappearance is a result of foul play. Mr. Peterson and anybody else connected with this investigation will be considered the suspect, but we have not focused on him to the point of saying he's a suspect.
April 13th, 2003. Media attention shifts to a horrifying discovery at Richmond waterfront on San Francisco Bay. A woman finds the body of a baby boy washed ashore. April 14th, 2003. 1 mile south of Richmond's waterfront, another gruesome discovery. A woman's body, lodged in the rocks at water's edge.
The body was found by a person who was walking along the shoreline with their dog.
The bodies are found less than 2 miles from the Berkeley Marina, the same marina where Scott claims he went fishing on Christmas Eve. Police believe the remains are those of Lacey and Connor.
Immediately when the body surfaced, they tried to locate Scott, and he was down in the San Diego area, and they believed that he was a flight risk.
April 18th, 2003. Police stopped 31-year-old Scott Peterson near the Torrey Pines Golf Course in La Jolla, California, just north of San Diego. Officers arrest Peterson for the murders of his wife and unborn son.
He has dyed his hair a curious shade of blonde. He has grown a goatee. He is very close to the Mexican border, and police knew that he had done business in Mexico and knew the country.
When they arrested him, they found some pretty interesting stuff in his car.
Investigators say they discovered nearly $15,000 in cash inside the Mercedes convertible that Scott is driving. There is also a camp stove, water purifier, a fishing pole, backpack, and 4 cell phones, among other items. While police are taking Peterson back to Modesto, DNA test results are announced. Everyone's worst fears are confirmed. The remains found along the shore of San Francisco Bay are identified as Lacey Peterson and her son Connor.
Only her torso washed ashore, so it's almost impossible for a forensic pathologist to be able to determine the cause of death. In fact, the pathologist never did determine the cause of death.
News of Scott's arrest and the DNA results spark a furor outside the Stanislaus County Jail. Peterson is met by an angry mob.
It was a chaotic scene. We, in fact, weren't sure whether we were able to safely book him there, just because of the amount of interest, the press, the public. It was an extraordinary scene.
Scott's family is stunned by the arrest.
Our son is innocent. We know that. We know it from day one. They worked strictly on a theory that was dreamt up by this lead detective within the first, I'd say, 8 hours. And they pursued it backward from there.
I feel like I'm living in Nazi Germany or the Soviet Union. I just am sick of this.
Coming up.
I can only hope that the sound of Lacey's voice begging for her life and begging for the life of her unborn child is heard over and over and over again in the mind of that person every day for the rest of his life.
You walk into the lobby and we gotta take this down. It's a bit embarrassing. Seriously, we gotta get that back.
E-News, weeknights at 7, 6 Central on E! 16 Blocks is a hard-to-beat thriller. Time to go. Bruce Willis gives a great, gritty performance.
Tell the cops I want this kid dead.
Most Def is a knockout. Amazing from start to finish. 16 Blocks is the first big hit of 2006.
I'm your only friend out here. You don't even know me!
16 Blocks, filmed by Richard Donner.
You're killing me.
Rated PG-13, starts March 3rd.
This season, you can rescue your hair from winter damage. Pantene Winter Rescue protects your hair from the icy wind outside and the drying heat inside with a pro-vitamin formula that replenishes moisture for 10 times the protection against winter's wrath. Static is so last season. Pantene Winter Rescue. That's the beauty of health.
Vacuum manufacturers want you to believe that dust stops here, at the filter. And it does, until the filter gets clogged. Then there's less suction to pick up dust, so it stays where you don't want it. In your house.
It has a legendary reputation for reliability, durability, and quality. It's been named to Car and Driver's 10 Best list 20 times. It was the first gasoline-powered production automobile to be certified as a low-emission vehicle in the U.S. And the best part is, it's used.
Proof that how you start out in life is a good indication of how far you'll go. Honda certified used cars. See, it may be used, but it's still a Honda.
Introducing Arby's Chicken Naturals. Now all Arby's chicken is made with 100% all-natural chicken. Try the new chicken cordon bleu with roasted ham and melted Swiss. It's so good, it'll have you saying, I'm thinking Arby's.
What if we could turn the whole world yellow? We'd have cleaner air and an energy source that grows back every year. Yellow is the color of corn, refined into E85 ethanol, a fuel that lowers greenhouse gas emissions and can reduce our dependence on oil. GM already has 1.5 million flex fuel vehicles that can run on E85, and it's just the beginning. Join the movement. Go to livegreengoyellow.com.
In 2 days, the film that touches every generation.
Start building some memories.
Now, with beautifully restored picture and sound, the 50th anniversary edition of Lady and the Tramp for the first time on 2-disc Disney DVD in 2 days, only for a limited time.
April 19th, 2003. Scott Peterson is booked for the murders of his wife Lacey and unborn son Connor. Peterson is fingerprinted, photographed, and locked up in a special section of the county jail.
The cells in the maximum security tier, which is where Scott was housed, they're really bleak cells. They're 6 by 9 foot cement-walled cells. They have a stainless steel toilet in there, just a cot with a very small mattress on it, and metal bars on the front of the door.
There was a bit of uncertainty on his part when he first came in, and not knowing what to expect. You know, he's being charged with the murder of his wife and child, and it's real now.
We were concerned about the potential for putting him on a suicide watch, but it appeared to us that he was not a candidate for that.
The possibility of suicide isn't the only thing troubling jail officials.
Several inmates in the jail make comments about him. There were no direct threats toward them, but we were concerned about that because we didn't want to have an incident inside the jail where somebody decided they wanted to also be the next Newsday's headline and perhaps hurt him or try to do something to him in the jail.
Meanwhile, media coverage hits an all-time high. People everywhere are shocked and outraged by an incomprehensible crime. Legal experts endlessly debate the case on TV and speculate about the fate of Scott Peterson.
All the evidence in this case is circumstantial.
There is no direct evidence linking Scott Peterson to this murder. If they cannot come up with a cause of death, then they cannot come up with how and in what manner Laci Peterson was killed.
It is beyond coincidence for a lot of people that her body would turn up where he was fishing that day, 90 miles from home when she's about to give birth. Coincidence? I don't know. That to me is the strongest piece of evidence going in the case.
I believe the wiretap evidence will be very, very important in this trial. But the most significant aspect of the conversations with Amber Frey is to debunk the theory that this was a happy home, that you can take what Scott Peterson says at face value. This proves that he is a liar and will lie about very significant matters. It does not make him a killer.
If committing adultery were illegal, half of Capitol Hill would be in jail. Maybe he wasn't a good husband. That's one thing. That's not concrete proof that he killed his wife.
April 21st, 2003.
No, it did not. It had absolutely nothing to do with Lacey's disappearance.
Scott Peterson is arraigned on charges of double homicide. He pleads not guilty and is denied bail. Scott's family is convinced of his innocence and heartbroken over the tragedy.
She was like a daughter to me. We miss her and we love her. And you know, someone out there did this and they're still loose.
Someone took Lacey and the baby's life, and we're going to find them.
Lacey's family refuses to comment about Scott's guilt or innocence.
I know all of you would like for us to say something about Scott, but we're not going to do that. We owe it to Lacey to let the courts bring the facts out. I'm not going to say anything that's going to jeopardize all the hard work of so many young men and women. I hope I don't have to say that too many times.
Sharon Rocha does speak out about the anger and pain of losing her daughter and grandson.
On December 24th, 2002, shortly after 5:15 p.m., I received a phone call and heard the devastating words that forever changed my life. Lacey's missing. I knew in my heart that something terrible had happened to my daughter and my grandson. My world collapsed around me. Since receiving that phone call, we've been living a terrible nightmare. I love my daughter so much. I miss her every minute of every day. My heart aches for her and Connor. Without them, there's a huge void in my life. I literally get sick to my stomach when I allow myself to think about what may have happened to them. No parent should ever have to think about the way their child was murdered. In my mind, I keep hearing Lacey say to me, "Mom, please find me and Connor and bring us home. I'm scared. Please don't leave us out here all alone. I want to come home. Please don't stop looking for us." They certainly did not deserve to be dumped in the bay and sent to a watery grave as though their lives were meaningless. Soon after Lacey went missing, I made a promise to her that if she has been harmed, we will seek justice for her and Connor and make sure that that person responsible for their deaths will be punished. I can only hope that the sound of Lacey's voice begging for her life and begging for the life of her unborn child is heard over and over and over again in the mind of that person every day for the rest of his life. The person responsible should be held accountable and punished for the tragedy and devastation forced upon so many of us.
A Washington intern murdered.
The remains found are in fact Chandra Levy.
THS investigates Chandra Levy and the Capitol murders tonight at 8 on E!
So you know I'm going to be here every day starting in March. Let me take a picture like that we can start your badge. Like an employee badge? Right. So every employee has done that?
I see, we couldn't go with a close-up of you because you tilted your head and then you looked like a weevil wobble.
Where's the locked door? I want to walk through it. It works.
E! News, weeknights at 7, 6 Central on E!
Everybody get down on the floor now!
You're the hostage negotiator? That's right. What do you got?
On March 24th.
Things are not all they appear to be. He's up to something.
The only way to know the truth
There are matters at stake that are a little bit above your pay grade.
is to get inside.
I think you're stalling. Why? I don't know.
You're too damn smart to be a cop.
Keep your men back!
Denzel Washington, Clive Owen, and Jodie Foster.
Come on, this ain't no bank robbery!
Inside Man, rated R, starts March 24th.
The Pier 1 Take a Seat sale. With savings on selected wicker seating for every room in your home, it's easy to find a new favorite chair. Hurry in before the best seats are taken. Pier 1, life more interesting.
Everything you want, every time you visit. The Wyndham by Request program. Stay 3 nights at a Wyndham resort and get the 4th night free with Getaways by Request. Call 1-800-WYNDHAM or visit wyndham.com.
Honda deserves a standing ovation.
Rock solid, well equipped. It's quick. Tons of fun.
Feels like a car in an entirely different class.
It's the most highly stylized Civic.
Don't be fooled by the Civic's economy car roots.
Makes you think the fuel crisis might be tolerable.
Impressive car at an amazing price.
There's a velvet fluidity to this car's every move.
The Civic, Civic Si, and Civic Hybrid. They didn't just win the 2006 Motor Trend Car of the Year award, they ran away with it.
Tell me you don't love me.
I don't love you.
Liar.
God has given you a second chance. This is your chance.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. Nominated for 5 Academy Awards. Walk the line. Be a part of it this Tuesday. Catch E! News, your connection to young Hollywood. Weeknight 7, 6 Central. Only on E!
The name's Jackson.
Lisa, so what do you do?
My business is all about you. He thought he could threaten her. Joe Reisert. Your father?
Where did you get that?
You need to keep listening.
I don't have to do that.
He thought he could control her. Stop gambling.
You're gonna kill my dad.
He thought wrong. When the plane lands, the ride begins. From director Wes Craven, Rachel McAdams, Cillian Murphy, Red Eye.
Murder. Everyone plays dirty, don't you?
Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. April 25th, 2003. Less than a week has passed since DNA tests conclusively identify the bodies of Laci Peterson and her son Connor. Stanislaus County DA Jim Brazelton meets with Laci's mother Sharon Rocha and stepfather Ron Gransky. Brazelton then announces that he will seek the death penalty for Scott Peterson if convicted.
Because the Peterson family took offense to that, but it was a day that really cemented with the Roach's mindset. They not only trusted the Modesto Police Department that they were on the right track, but they completely supported prosecutors in seeking the death penalty.
Scott's life is now on the line. 45-year-old attorney Mark Garagos gets the call.
We're happy that Mark is in place as Scott's attorney, and we do look forward to proving his innocence.
Mark Garagos is no stranger to high-profile cases and the media circus that surrounds them. Garagos was retained by Gary Condit in the Chandra Levy case. Police never implicated Condit in Levy's murder, which remains unsolved. Garagos later represented actress Winona Ryder on shoplifting charges. As Garagos takes on the Peterson case, he is also representing Michael Jackson, who is being investigated for alleged child molestation.
Garagos can do nothing but help Scott Peterson's case. He's very charismatic. He's very affable. He knows his way around a courtroom. But no matter how much you like one of the lawyers, it's going to depend on the facts at trial.
April 29th, 2003. Garagos meets with Scott Peterson in jail.
We've set the bar extremely high, and that's to prove that Scott is not only factually innocent, but to figure out exactly who it is did this horrible thing to Scott's wife and to Scott's son.
May 4th, 2003. Attention turns back to Laci Peterson and Connor. 3,000 people crowd the First Baptist Church in Modesto for a memorial service.
Laci would be very grateful and just astounded that she would get this kind of attention. I think with all of us here, we're sending a very powerful message, and I know Laci and Connor can hear us now.
It was more than just curiosity. There was a love, there was an emotional link to her and to this family. It was like a rock concert. People lined up for blocks. There was a choir, and there was music, and oration, and preaching, and throughout the entire thing, never did anybody utter the name Scott Peterson.
In fact, Scott Peterson is only a few blocks away in the county jail. Peterson is meeting with Mark Garagos to map out his defense.
Scott actually inquired about his ability to go to the memorial. The sheriff declined that request because he did not want to create a security problem for him, because obviously there was so much attention in the case and so many people with, feelings one way or another that we were not going to put his safety in jeopardy by putting him out into a public memorial.
Meanwhile, Mark Garagos spends the next few weeks requesting documents compiled by police in the case against his client.
This case is nothing more than the prosecution deciding early on, this man's having an affair, don't bother me with the facts, I've got to convict this guy. Period, end of story.
May 30th, 2003. the Roaches enter the Peterson home and remove some of Lacey's belongings, including her diploma, wedding dress, and a crib.
Lacey family just showed up at the house, broke in, and took the stuff away. And Scott's family was just aghast.
Garagos works hard to punch holes in the prosecution's case against Scott Peterson.
It is a burden that rests solely on the shoulders of the prosecutors to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. If Mark Garagos and his defense team can attack the state's witnesses so strongly that they are discredited, the defense may not even put up a case.
Mark Garagos takes his case to the court of public opinion. Garagos again proclaims Peterson is innocent and offers up several theories of who might have killed Lacey and Connor. One of those theories involves an alleged satanic cult. As evidence, Garagos points to unusual paintings and artwork found in a wooded area along San Francisco Bay. The bodies of Lacey and Connor were found nearby.
Because the defense is going to say, well, there's a reason why he can't determine whether the baby was born alive or not. Because if you listen to the defense's theory, Lacey was kidnapped by either a satanic cult or some group of thugs, kept alive for a short time, and then murdered.
Another theory presented by Garagos involves the case of Evelyn Hernandez. Hernandez was 8 months pregnant when she disappeared in May 2002. Her body surfaced in San Francisco Bay almost 3 months later. But San Francisco police say they have a suspect and find no link to the deaths of Lacey and Connor.
You want to focus on this being a potential link in a serial chain of murders. You want to focus on the satanic cult issue to show that there are other suspects who could have committed this crime that are not Scott Peterson. The defense will use this to lay the groundwork for reasonable doubt.
October 29, 2003. A preliminary hearing is held in the case of the people of California versus Scott Peterson. Prosecutor Rick DiStasso presents some key points of evidence, including the cement anchor found in Scott's boat.
Then this man murdered Lacey Peterson.
Also central to the prosecution's case, police phone taps of Scott's conversations with his mistress, Amber Fry.
Amber knows what the truth is, and she intends to tell it. And she's not going to be intimidated. And she has displayed courage so far, and she's going to continue to display that courage. And that is a challenge that Mr. Garagos is going to have before him.
December 4th, 2003. Stanislaus County Superior Court Judge Al Girolami rules the evidence is sufficient to try Scott Peterson for the murder of his wife and son. Peterson says he didn't do it.
That's correct, Your Honor. I'm innocent.
Coming up.
All who knew Lacey Peterson have mourned 2 deaths.
Who knows what will happen on Hollywood's biggest night? Live from the red carpet, the Academy Awards. Coverage starts Sunday, March 5th at noon with live pre-show at 5:30.
So you know I'm going to be here every day starting in March. Let me take a picture like that we can start your badge. Like an employee badge? Right. So every employee has done that?
See, we couldn't go with a close-up of you because you tilted your head and then you looked like a weevil ball.
Where's the locked door? I want to walk through it. It works.
E-News, weeknights at 7, 6 Central on E!
Mini moments from Sharpie Mini. Sharpie Mini.
Come here. Get in there.
Sharpie Mini. Right out loud.
Are you still being charged too much for internet service? Still waiting for a better deal? Well, your wait is over. With People PC Online, you get unlimited internet access for just $10.95 a month. And you get accelerator technology free for an entire year. That's a $60 value. Visit up to 5...